Transaction Care, the podcast. Welcome home to the #1 real estate show on the market. I am your host and resident care coordinator, Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lilly. My goal with each episode of Transaction Care is to demystify the business of real estate from my point of view and interviews from other voices in the real estate industry around the world. Since this is a real estate podcast, I thought it would be helpful to answer a few general and frequently asked questions about real estate. So here we go. But before we get started, I just want to say realtor. 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 Not realtor. Realtor. That's all. What is the best way to break into the real estate industry? Just do it. Work at an office, be an assistant, get the proper degrees, certifications, education. Start with a brokerage with a reputable teaching program or training program. The office I previously worked at did an excellent job at onboarding realtors and training them the moment they signed on. You can also join a team, figure out what area of real estate you want to work in, do the research, and just start the process immediately. What other types of jobs can I do in real estate? Honestly, the list is pretty vast. Let's start with you can be a broker, a realtor, licensed agent, referral agent, transaction coordinator, podcast host, investor, content creator, stager, inspector, landscaping, photographer, videographer. I mean, the list goes on. An appraiser. You could also work at an office, front desk, office manager, teacher, educator. You can also work on the mortgage side, lender, office assistant, escrow officer, escrow assistant. You can also be a coach, a mentor, a tutor. The list goes on, and I will definitely touch on some of those different types of jobs on this podcast, so definitely follow and subscribe so you do not miss an episode. Another frequently asked question I get, and somewhat of an icebreaker, is right now the right time to buy? My answer to that question is always the same. If you are ready, mentally, financially, spiritually, physically, then yeah, it's the right time to buy. The market or statistics may say otherwise, but if you are ultimately ready, what's holding you back? Money. So how is a realtor paid? So the seller is responsible for paying out the commission. When you sell your house and put your home on the market, you sign a listing agreement. And within that listing agreement, you negotiate certain terms, such as the price, how long you're going to market your home with said realtor, and as well as the commission that you will be paying at the close of escrow to both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. Once that is all agreed upon, all payment is dispersed at the close of escrow via a escrow title company, and splits for the realtor are determined by the broker. So if a commission $100,000 and your split between your broker and you is 50-50, then you would get 50,000 and your broker would get 50,000. You aren't getting the whole 100,000, not to mention taxes and whatnot, but that's not my wheelhouse. But just know that when a home goes on the market and there's a 3% or maybe 2.5% commission, the realtor does not take home that entire fee. Not to mention, it has to be split among both sides of the transaction. Do I need to put 20% down to purchase a home? Yes and no. Yes, if you have it and you're willing to part ways with that lump sum, and if that is what's required for that type of sale for that home or that loan you're obtaining. Otherwise, there are programs available to provide down payment assistance, such as a VA loan for veterans, NACA or BMR properties, below market rate properties. There's also PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, just to name a few. I'm going to bring on some experts to talk about this more in depth, so definitely submit your questions regarding that. For now, one of my favorite resources is MG the Mortgage Guy on social media. He's a part of the Earn Your Leisure network, so definitely go check out his content, read his books. He's a great resource if you're looking for more information today. And finally, how do I start my own real estate business? Depending on the branch of real estate you decide to pursue, you want to focus on the fundamentals. I created a 5-step checklist breaking these down. I will read them here, but if you want a copy of them, go to transactioncarepodcast.com to get a copy. As I mentioned earlier, you definitely want to do your research and get as much education as you can. But in terms of starting a business in the real estate industry, I like to stick to the fundamentals. And I've come up with these 5 steps, which I'll break down right now, which I apply to anything I do in terms of starting a project. I did it with this podcast. I'm doing it with my future coaching business. So let me break it down. You definitely want to have a solid why. Why do you want to start a business? Having a solid why is the equivalent to having a solid foundation for a home. A budget. Know your numbers. Knowing and accepting what and who you can afford now and or later is a key element to scaling your business. Education. Research what type of education, courses, licensing, and or certifications that are required for your city, state, country. This builds confidence as well. I can't stress enough how important being educated and doing your research and asking as many questions as possible is so helpful and key to progressing in any lane and any aspect of your life. Next up, marketing. There are a number of ways to market your business. Exhaust all options, stick to what works best, adjust and reset as needed. Now, marketing is probably one of the more important factors of running any business because you need people to know what you're doing, that you exist. And I would definitely break this one down more in depth in future episodes. And finally, your mindset. Success is present in each day we are given. Everything and everyone else is a bonus. Remain a student, believe in you, remember why you are doing this, and keep going. So when embarking on a new venture, a new business, a new job, a new career, these 5 steps can apply to all of those areas. So if you want a copy of my checklist, go to transactioncarepodcast.com and you'll automatically get a copy. If you are already a part of my newsletter and my TC community, then you already know what's up. You have a copy of this and apply it. So that wraps up this episode of Transaction Care. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. You can also DM me on social media at Transaction Care on all social platforms. I'm frequently on TikTok and Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel, which I love posting content on there. It's more of a day in the life of a transaction coordinator. I call it TC with Lilly, and I'm giving you more of a behind the scenes look into my day-to-day as an entrepreneur, a transaction coordinator. I also do live streams, live Q&As. So if you want to go beyond the podcast or you want to see and interact with me visually, head to youtube.com/transactioncare, subscribe, and join the fun. Coming up on the next episode, I'm going to talk about my very first year as an entrepreneur and the hot mess that was and how I navigated it and how I am approaching year 5. By the grace of God, I'm so thankful that I've come this far, but year one was tough. And tune in next week for that episode. And if you want to collaborate, sponsor an episode, promote your business on this podcast, send me an email, tc@transactioncare.com. All of that will be in the description as well. I would love to connect, have you on as a guest if this is a topic of discussion you would like to explore. And be sure to head to transactioncarepodcast.com to join my TC community, as well as stay up to date with the latest and greatest regarding this podcast, my business, and to get a copy of my checklist that I discussed in this episode. Until the next episode, care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon.